Friends from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to today's regular press conference. First, I have an announcement to make. Agreed by China and Germany, the fourth China-Germany high-level fiscal and financial dialogue will be held on November the 17th here in Beijing. Member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and Vice Premier of the State Council He Lifeng, and Germany Deputy Prime Minister and Fiscal Minister Lars Klingbeil will lead and co-host the dialogue. Now I'll take your questions. CCTV. It is reported the Japanese PM in the dialogue this week avoided answering whether the administration will abide by the non-nuclear principles. There are also reports saying that when asked about the possibility of acquiring nuclear submarines, Japanese top official has not ruled out any options, and even publicly called for Tokyo to consider adding nuclear submarines. It is also said the Liberal Democratic Party began talks on Thursday about amending the Article 9. What's China's comment on this? China is seriously concerned over Japan's military and security moves recently. While Japan claims to be a country of peace and advocates a world free of nuclear weapons, the current administration has been making ambiguous statements about the principles, implying the possibility of quitting the principles, and even claiming that Japan has not ruled out the possibility of possessing nuclear submarines. These fully reveal that Japan is making a major negative policy shift, which sends a dangerous signal to the international community. During the World War II, Japanese militarism launched a war of invasion and committed in numerous crimes, bringing a devastating disaster to the region and the world. In recent years, Japan significantly adjusted its security policy, increased defense budget, lowered weapon export restrictions, and pursued developing offensive weapons, walking further down the path of strengthening its military. The Japanese Prime Minister recently publicly said her remarks about Taiwan, implying the possibility of military interference in the Taiwan Strait. A series of moves has raised concerns in its neighboring countries. Is Japan fully trying to revive militarism? Is the Japanese administration fully abiding by the principles of non-nuclearization? Will Japan continue to abide by its commitment of peaceful development? This year marks the 80th anniversary of Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, and the 80th anniversary of the restoration of Taiwan. We urge Japan to reflect on the lesson of history and take on a path of peaceful development, stop finding excuses for strengthening its military, and take concrete actions to win the confidence and trust of its neighboring countries and the international community. Next question, please.
路透社，日本电视台报道称，中国在东京的使馆已经警告其员工不要外出，因为现在日本有反华情绪。中方对此有何评论？
我此前已经指出， 一些日本政
As pointed out, some Japanese media and politicians are hyping up narratives that try to transfer the focus. These moves are very irresponsible. Far-right activists have released very extreme remarks about the Chinese embassy and its officials. We urge the Japanese side to take a look into these issues and see the root cause of these problems and take back its negative remarks. Do not try to attempt to transfer the focus and try to blame China for this incident. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。环球时报环球网记者提问：据报道，美国国防部发布消息称，美国务院已批准。
Global Times, it is reported that the Pentagon has approved the sale of weapons to Taiwan, including F-16 and C-130. What's China's comment? The U.S. arms sales to China's Taiwan region grossly violates the One China principle and the three China-U.S. joint communiques, especially the August 17th communique, infringes on China's sovereignty and security interests, contravenes international law, and sends a gravely wrong signal to Taiwan independent separatist forces. China deplores and opposes this. The Taiwan question is at the core of China's core interests, and is the first red line that cannot be crossed in China-U.S. relations. China urges the U.S. to abide by the One China principle and three joint communiques, act on its leaders' commitment on Taiwan-related issues, stop abetting and aiding separatist forces, and take concrete actions in the interest of China-U.S. relations and cross-strait peace and stability. China will do what is necessary to firmly defend China's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. Next one, please.
Question from AF.
法新社，欧盟成员国已经同意取消对小包裹的免税政策，这主要是针对廉价的中国商品涌入欧盟。外交部对此有何评论？
具体问题
For this specific issue, I would refer you to the relevant authorities. I would like to stress that we hope Europe and EU can abide by the market rules and create an open, transparent, and non-discriminatory business environment for Chinese companies. Next question, please.
谢谢。深圳卫视执新闻记者提。
Shenzhen TV. It was reported that the China Chamber of Commerce to the EU released the report on the developments of Chinese enterprises in the EU, which shows that the overall rating of the EU business environment among Chinese companies declined for the sixth consecutive year. 81% of respondents cited greater uncertainty, 90% said the EU's de-risking and broader economic security agenda had negatively affected operations and confidence, and over 40% said they had faced differential treatment. Uncertainty has become the biggest obstruction. What is China's comment on this? We noted the report. We also noted that Chinese businesses are concerned about the continued pressure on their operations in Europe. In recent years, the EU has been advocating economic competition with China and promoting de-risking from China. Under the pretext of upholding economic security and fair competition, it has rolled out a number of protectionist measures, set restrictions in semiconductor, 5G, and EVs, areas where China and the EU could have engaged in mutually beneficial cooperation, and taken discriminatory and restrictive measures against the Chinese businesses, which disrupted the sound and steady operation of the global supply chains. These moves did no good to improving the EU's industrial competitiveness, but sent a negative message of retrogression in its market openness and affected Chinese businesses' confidence in investing in the EU, which will harm the EU's own interests in the end. Over the years, Chinese businesses have continued to explore the EU market and actively taken up corporate responsibilities, contributing to the EU's economic growth, green transition, employment, and people's well-being. The recommendations for formulating the 15th five-year plan, adopted at the 4th plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee, has drawn a blueprint for China's economic development in the next 5 years. China's continued modernization drive and greater opening up will bring more opportunities for China-EU cooperation. Amid the complex and volatile international situation, sluggish world economic growth, and rising trade protectionism, it is all the more important that China and the EU engage in dialogue and cooperation, uphold free trade and fair competition, and resolve differences and frictions properly through dialogue and consultation. We hope the EU will honor its commitment on market openness and uphold the principle of fair competition, listen to and earnestly address the reasonable suggestions and legitimate appeals of Chinese businesses, and provide a fair and predictable environment for Chinese businesses to invest and operate in the EU. We also welcome the EU to grasp the opportunities arising from China's implementation of the 15th five-year plan to increase trade and investment and achieve common development. Next one, please.
Nippon TV and Japanese ambassador.
日本驻华大使昨天被中国的副部长召见。你能否解释为什么中方现在执意进行面对面的抗议？
Deputy Foreign Minister, Vice Foreign Minister Song Weidong met with Japanese ambassador to China. We have released press statement regarding this meeting. The root cause of a series of incidents recently is the Japanese PM's remarks around Taiwan and refusing to retract her remarks. This is blatantly interfering in China's internal affairs, violating the basic norms of international relations and international law, disturbing the international system, and violating the One China principle and our four political papers. This severely undermines our political foundation of China-Japan relations and the sentiments between our two peoples. We noted that people with vision in both countries have criticized the Japanese Prime Minister's remarks. China is a peace-loving country and we stick to our commitments. But on issues related to our sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity, we will never make any compromises. No one should fantasize China to accept things that will undermine our interests. No one should ever challenge our red lines. And this will only be countered by our countermeasures. It will only meet the Great Wall forged by the 1.4 billion Chinese people. Any force who attempt to stop our reunification will doom to fail. Next one, please.
Regarding
彭博社关于摩根斯坦利和摩根斯坦利正面临美国众议院中国特设委的调查，调查该银行在承销中国紫金黄金有限公司公开募股时是否进行了尽职调查。争议在于这笔交易可能帮助中国企业紫金矿业，而紫金矿业因涉嫌违反在新疆使用强迫劳工而被美国列入黑名单。外交部对该调查有何评论？
Well, I'm not familiar with the commercial activities that you mentioned. The so-called allegation of forced labor in Xinjiang is nothing but a lie created by anti-China forces. What I want to say is that the US agency, which keeps vilifying China with baseless accusations again and again, peddled the narrative that has been proven false by facts. This will only further expose the agency's zero credibility and its intention of political manipulation, and end up hurting the US' own interests and reputation. Next question, please.
大家还有其他问题吗？
Any more questions?
Bloomberg,
彭博社，美国的人工智能公司已经暴露了一个中国入侵大型企业和外国政府机构的行为。外交部对于 Anthropic 指责中国进行黑客攻击活动有何评论？
我不了解你提到的具体。
I do not have information on this issue you've mentioned. As for these groundless accusations, we have repeated our position. China has always countered and cracked down these such hacker activities, but we also oppose any blame shifting on China. Any more questions? That will be all for today's press conference. Thank you. I hope you have a happy weekend.